Okay. Good morning. I'm Major General Glenn Curtis, the Adjutant General for the Louisiana National Guard, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here this morning. I'd like to start out by thanking all of the agencies that have been involved since March 10th with recovery operations for our lost soldiers and the Marines. And I would ask for any of them's forgiveness if I miss their names, but I'll try to go through them. It's U.S. Coast Guard 8th District, and then their Pensacola and Destin stations, Eglin Air Force Base, Escambia County Volunteer Services, the Florida Fish and Wildlife, Okaloosa County Fire Department, Hulbert Field Fire Department, Gulf Breeze Fire Department, and then Resolve Marine Group, which has provided a lot of the equipment that we've been using in these recovery operations. This morning I'm here to announce the names of the 4 Louisiana Guardsmen, the soldiers that we lost. As I'm speaking, we are releasing more details, kind of their bios, for the media and for the public. I'll go through each name and just a brief amount on their careers. The first one is Chief Warrant Officer 4, George Wayne Griffin, Jr. He's originally from Delhi, Louisiana. He currently lives in Hammond. He's married with 4 children. His military service, he's been in the military for 21 years. He's deployed to most of the state emergencies we've had in our state for the last 10 or so years. And then he deployed to Iraq in 2003, and then again in 2008. The second soldier that we lost is Chief Warrant Officer 4, George David Strother. He's originally from Pineville, currently living in Alexandria. He's married with 2 children. He has 26 years of service. Again, he's been involved in most of our state emergencies throughout our recent history. And he deployed to Iraq in 2003, Afghanistan in 2010, and Kosovo in 2013. The 4th soldier that we lost is Staff Sergeant Lance Jacob Bergeron. He's originally from Thibodaux, Louisiana, currently living in Hammond. He is married with 2 children, has a total of 21 years of service. Again, as previously mentioned, he's deployed in most of our state emergencies, and he deployed to Iraq in 2003 and again to Iraq in 2008. And then the 4th soldier that we lost is Staff Sergeant Thomas Charles Froelich III. He's originally from Fairfax County, Virginia, and currently lives in Baton Rouge. He is married, and he and his wife are expecting their first child. He has 8 years of service, and he's been involved in numerous state emergencies since he entered the National Guard 8 years ago. The families have asked that we respect their privacy, and so I would ask the media any inquiries or any information that you need or questions that you have, if you would turn those to our Public Affairs Office or to the National Guard. We will try to provide for you any details that we can, but I do ask that you respect their privacy and the request for their privacy. This has been a difficult few days for really the entire Department of Defense, but I know for the Marine Corps and the Louisiana National Guard in particular. There have been numerous thoughts, prayers, vigils that people have offered for us and for those families, and I would like to thank everyone for their just very generous outpouring. As more details become available on our 4 soldiers, when we can expect them home, when funeral services will be conducted and so forth, we will let you know those details and locations as they become available. That concludes my statement. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
What were some of the difficulties in identifying soldiers? Did you just have to wait?
You know, I would just tell you it was a catastrophic accident. And so based on that, you know, it was over water, as you know. And so the combination of that with the weather made it very difficult to conduct search and rescue originally, and then recovery ops after that. But it was a catastrophic accident.
When did you notify the family members? I know it was tough identifying, but
Right.
how long ago was that?
We started, and you'll have to forgive me because this whole time's been kind of a blur for me. I think our first notification was probably Thursday morning that we thought that we had found 2 of them. And then since then into last night, we had our last confirmation last night that we had our 4th soldier. So between Thursday morning and last night, there's been an ongoing dialogue with the families and statuses of where we were, and in confirmation that you know we had their soldier, or our soldier.
Is there any indication at this point that it was maybe an engineering failure that caused the crash?
I don't know. I don't know any of those details. I would tell you that there are ongoing investigations to determine that. And you know, there's 2 investigations. One of them will be shorter term, and then the other one will be more of the safety office for the Army is conducting it, and it'll be an in-depth investigation to try to determine exactly what you're asking.
Is the National Guard putting on hold and Black Hawk Mission for the moment reassessing fleet?
No, sir. Here in the state, we suspended flying operations. We will start those again today because our soldiers need to get back in helicopters and start doing what they do again. So we will start flying again today.
What will be the National Guard's role in these investigations moving forward?
The first investigation is more for our consumption and the Special Forces Command. The official terminology of it is called a 15-6, and it's to do an initial assessment for us and the families on basically try to determine what happened. The safety board will do akin to if you have a commercial airliner go down, where they try to reconstruct the incident and really kind of in depth review what they know or what they can figure out and try to pinpoint exactly what happened. You know, was it a mechanical failure or whatever it was. So.
And when will information start coming out of those investigations?
The first one, now these would strictly be estimates on my part because you have to give them the time that they need to conduct their investigation. You got to get it as right as you know how to get it. So the first one would probably conclude in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And the other one, I really can't answer that question. I don't know how long the safety board will take.
Can the families expect compensation from military for the loss of their loved ones? How's that work?
For compensation?
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
it might be. Yeah.
You know, most of us have the standard insurance, $400,000. Here in the state of Louisiana, I would tell you, I'm aware that Louisiana is probably a little different than some other states. We passed a law a few years ago that soldiers that we lost in combat operations or while on state active duty, the state paid them $250,000. It didn't cover training missions like this one. So I know that there's a piece of legislation going forward to change the law so that training accidents are included, and you know, hopefully that will pass. One of the things that's a little bit different when you lose a soldier or a service member in training versus combat is there's a whole series of benefits that do not come to play, and that's a concern to me. But I would tell you that there are organizations, legislators right now that are putting nonprofits together. They will introduce those that people can you know, donate money to or whatever, that they will divide up amongst those families. And that's about as much as I know about that right now. So.
What did you tell your troops to keep morale up?
You know, as a leader, you have to be caring. You have to show that you care, but you can't wither. And you know, we all understand we still have a mission to do, and we've got to stay involved in those missions. The general public here in Louisiana expects us to do that, and our nation expects us to do that. So we will continue to train and move forward. Most of us have been through combat operations, and so we understand, you know, we've walked on this turf before. So.
Can you share with us if this brings closure to the family here in the community here?
I think it's, you know, to me, the first critical step in closure is that we now know that we have our 4 soldiers. And so then now we can start moving through, you know, bringing them back to the state of Louisiana, or in one case, they'll be buried in Virginia. But you start giving us and those families, more importantly, that closure, you know, that they'll be brought home, and we'll do the military honors and conduct their funerals so that you can start getting to closure on it.
And for clarification, can you tell me who the pilot was and what exactly was this mission? It was a training exercise?
Yeah, it was a training exercise where they were working with the Special Operations Command, the Marines, in repelling operations, and then from there the Marines would do waterborne operations. I don't know at this time, out of the 2 pilots who was flying, I don't know that we'll ever know that, and I don't even know that that's really important. I mean, the accident happened, and it is what it is. So, but so we'll see.
This
Okay.
happened 6 days ago. What's
Yeah.
the cause for the delay in identifying these soldiers?
As I mentioned earlier, it was a catastrophic accident. Not, you know, I would ask you accept that at face value, so that I don't have to get into too much description of what the conditions were. But finding those soldiers, and then we have to go through a positive identification, a DNA sampling, to make sure of you know, that we had the right person, so to speak.
You told us last week that you found 2 and the other 2 were believed to still be with the craft. Was that the case?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's been a very fluid situation, but I would tell you that initial report was pretty accurate. But it was just finding where all the crash sites were, and then trying to do recovery operations from there.
Are you still looking for the public's help in that area to recover anything they see or what they saw?
We are. The recovery operations are still going on, so that we can recover as much of the aircraft and gather all the, you know, everything that we can from the crash site. I'm not sure how much longer it will go on, and that will be up to the people over at Eglin Air Force Base and that command team to decide whenever they've kind of reached end state on it. But yes, we are still doing recovery operations, and would ask anyone that could help us do that to do it.
Has that area been opened up to civilian voters? And
You know,
no fly zone
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
That aircraft was headed back to Eglin, right? Or was it a different airfield?
Say that one more time.
What airfield or, base
That-
was that?
Yeah, they took off from Holbert Field, and they were actually going to conduct the operation, so.